Okay, welcome back. If you've seen these before, you know I'm pretty boring, but I'm going to be going through test 6 today. We're going to skip the reading. I want to do some math because it has seemed like the reading on the digital format has been pretty easy for most of you guys. It's the math that seems to be giving the most trouble. So we're going to go ahead and just skip the math or the reading modules and go straight on to math module 1. My hope with this video today is to come across some tough ones, obviously. That's always the hope. I'm going to go ahead and click past this. We're not going to forget about our calculator this time, and we're not going to forget about our reference sheet. You always want to make sure that you use those to the best of your ability. They are right up there. I'll go ahead and slide this over for you guys. Right up there, you got your calculator and your reference sheet. Make sure that you're using them liberally. Anyhow, what do we got for this first question? Usually questions number through 15, 1 through 15 are pretty straightforward. You don't have to overthink them. Just make sure that you've read them carefully. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. I've already wasted half a minute here. We don't care that it's bird species. We've been given a rate, 4 seconds, so 16 times 4. Obviously, none of those are going to work. And just double check units to measure here, meters in 4 seconds, meters per second. Yep. And on that one, I don't even bother doing the multiplication. Just think logically about it. 4 times 16 is what we're going to do. And you know that 4 times 16 is going to be much bigger than 16. So the only obvious answer here is 64. You don't even have to do the calculation if you don't know how to do that in your head. That's just a strategy there. We have a line, slope of 4, passes through 0, 6. We should recognize that 0, 6 is a y-intercept. Anytime they give you that x equals 0, that is telling you that it is a y-intercept. Y-intercept. So in our format y equals mx plus b, we have been given the slope and we've been given the y-intercept, 6. So what are we being asked for here? The equation itself. So there it is. And that's just a definition that you must memorize. There is no shortcut there. You must memorize y equals mx plus b. They want an equivalent. This is nonlinear equivalence if you're wanting to do these in the question bank. Nonlinear equivalence is pretty straightforward in my mind. So we have 5x. So we're factoring basically on a question like this. Okay. So factor off the common term, 5x cubed. Sorry, I was messing with my windows there. 5x cubed pops out to the front. I'm looking for anything else. I don't think so. Or no, not the 5, because 5 doesn't factor out of 6 and 8, obviously. They don't have a common factor there, so it's going to be b. And you can stop there, basically, because you know you've got an x cubed up front and nothing else comes with it. So because of that, you can stop doing the math and just move on. If it helps make you feel good, you can continue doing the math, but you don't have to. Linear function in standard form. Learn the forms. Slope intercept, point slope, standard form. Make sure that you learn the forms and name them as you do it. So we've got standard form. Minutes daylight, X number of minutes non-daylight is Y. Okay. Oak Park, Illinois. Nice. If this day has, I live very near there. If this day has 670 minutes of daylight, so that's X is what they're giving us. How many non-daylight? So basically we're going to do 1440 minus 670. So in Desmos, you can just type that in, 1440 minus 670, and boom, 770. Don't forget that Desmos is a fully functioning calculator. It's not just for graphing. We have a first real word problem here. So it's a probability question. Stats and probability is the question bank category. 20 employees at random from 400 employees at a company, so 20 out of 400 is a fraction that we might set up. 20 over 400. Let's finish reading before we do any math. He found 16 had in the sampler enrolled in 3 development courses. Which of the following is the best estimate of the number of employees at the company who are enrolled in 3 this year? Okay, so it's proportions. 20 out of 400 were sampled. So dividing that, we can get our ratio. Cross those off. That's 1 in 20 is our ratio to the total population of the thing. 16 out of 20 is the ratio of the sample. So that, again, reduce, divide each by 4. You get 4 out of 5. So we're going to use that ratio, 4 out of 5. And there's a couple ways to do this. Now that I've written both of these out, I'm going to change my tactic a little bit here. I've got my ratio of 4 out of 5. I'm going to go ahead and say 4/5 of the whole company, 400. And remember, when you're dealing with fractions and decimals and percentages, if you say of, that means multiply. Of means multiply. So 4/5 of 400, 4/5 of the employees. So 4 times 400 divided by 5. Again, we can just use Desmos. You could do it in your head if you really wanted to. But why, when you've got Desmos? 4/5 times 400, and that gives us our answer, 320. Moving on. We've got a linear function here, divide, and they just want, oh, I was about to solve for x, but look at the answers. They're the same function in standard form. So we could distribute that through, get 14x minus 21. Or you could divide the 7 over right away, which I think is going to be our way to go, because look at the answers. We've got 2x minus 3 in 2 of them, and we've got a 2x minus 3 right there. I don't know if you can see my mouse as I do that. But yeah, we've got a 7 times 2 to the x minus, just divide the 7 over. So if we do that, we get 2x minus 3 equals 63 divided by 7 is 9. So that's going to give us a. Pretty simple. Looks complicated, but doesn't have to be. I call these rearrangers, this next one. You're just rearranging, solving for a term. Just looking at the answer choices, it looks like we're solving for C. So just move that 7 over and you're done. 25p plus k plus 7. Don't overcomplicate that stuff. Again, looking at our answer choices before even reading the text. Again, a strategy here, a tactic, is to look at the answer choices that you're being provided and evaluate what the question might be asking. Here, we should recognize that each of these answer choices are exponential functions. We have 2000 as our y-intercept for each of them. Then we have 3, 1.97, 1.03, and 0.97. So it's probably going to be like a 3% growth type of thing. And indeed, glancing at the text, I do see a 3% growth in there. So it says increase by 3%. And I know that by the definition, that means that it's going to be 1.03, because the definition of the function is a equals p times 1 plus or minus the percentage raised to the tx. And again, this is a definition of a formula that you can just simply memorize, and I encourage you to do so. P is the y-intercept, r is the percentage growth. So I'm pretty confident, but let me go ahead and read through it. Yep, they're just looking for the definition of it. No shifts. What I'm looking for there is if we had any horizontal or vertical shifts that we have to consider, or any modifications to those numbers. All right, this one's just simple algebra. This is, again, going to be in the nonlinear equivalent category. We're distributing. So looking at the answer choices again, it looks like we do need to factor out or expand each of our binomials. So we're going to do the first one first. And looking at the answer choices again, another tactic here is to only do the math that you have to. Notice that each of the final terms, negative 14, positive 96, 121, and 146, they're all different. So that is the only thing I'm going to calculate. So for the first term, we're just going to do 11 squared, which is 121. All the constants, so anything without an x attached to it, plus negative 5 times positive 5 is negative 25. So 121 minus 25, there's no way that's going to be negative 14. There's no way that's 121 or 146. So without even doing the algebra, I know that it's going to be 96. We have our first fill in the blank question here. We have a quadratic. So according to the equation, what is the height from which it was thrown? That's another way to say that we want the y-intercept. So if we want the y-intercept, we should know that that is the c value of any quadratic. So in the formula a x squared plus bx plus c, the c value is the y-intercept, or the beginning value. So 18 will be our answer. We have a fairly straightforward algebra formula here. It's probably a nonlinear equivalent, or maybe just basic algebra, depending on the category here. They want 6x. So basic algebra, divide the 4. You get root 2x equals 4. Square both sides, you get 2x equals 16 again. X then is just 8. You could multiply this by 3 at this stage and get your 6x. And 3 times 16 is 48, I believe. Or you could get 8 is, x is 8, and again, times 6 verifies that it is simply 48. Not too bad, right? And we're already on question 11. And it's been 10 minutes with all my rambling. Strategy, again, is to look at the answer choices first and identify what the question may be asking. Here we should recognize that we've got 4 linear functions with different slopes and different y-intercepts. Let's go ahead and look at the given. They tell us it's linear. Every increase of x by 1, the value of y increases by 8. We should memorize that formula for each increase of x by 1. I'm going to type it out over here. For each increase x by 1, y increases by m, where m is the slope in y equals mx plus b format. So they're basically telling us that the slope is 8. So we might assume that the answer should be C, but let's continue reading, see if there's any modification to the question. When the value of x is 2, the y value is 18. So they're basically giving us a coordinate point there. We could plug into 18 and solve. And indeed, that does work for C. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 2 does indeed give 18. So C. They're not asking, okay, we've got a quadratic this time, and they're not asking what the solution is. They're asking how many. So this is a quadratic. And you might initially think, oh, nothing squared can be negative, and that's true. So I'm going to immediately go with 0 here. Yeah, you can't square root both sides on this one and get a real solution. You can get imaginaries, but that's not what they want. So I'm going to go with 0 and stick with it. If you're really not sure, you can try plugging this into Desmos and let's just see what happens. So if you tried this, x and then squared equals negative 841. And you see that it does indeed have nothing popping up on here. And like if you hit enter on that, nothing comes up. It just doesn't yield anything. So don't waste your time. Just memorize when you square something, you should always expect a positive. So 0 solutions. All right, another fill in the blank. Data interpretation question. Okay, what is the positive difference between the ranges? So range is the difference between the minimum and the maximum. So they want the difference in the ranges. So we got to find the range for each of these and then subtract them. So the range for data set A goes from 0 to 5. The ending points of the whiskers are the minimum and the maximum. So we've got a range of 5 and a range from 1 to 10 is 9. And the difference between 5 and 9 is 4. Pretty simple. Length of the edge of the base square prism. First geometry question here. The volume of the prism is given. Don't get thrown off by prism. That just means 3-dimensional shape. They want the height of the prism, so it's a square. So right square prism is 6 on the bases. So if you wanted to draw that, you would draw kind of a square shape. Oh, let me get my drawing in view here. Not totally square, but that's okay. So these sides here are 6. This one is h. So the area of the base times the height is the volume of a rectangular or a square prism. So 36h is equal to 2880. I can't do that in my head, I'll fully admit. So 2880 divided by 36 gives us, what is that? 80. Boom. Not too bad. You would be, even though they give you in the reference, they give you the volume of a rectangular prism, it would still be wise of you to memorize those things. We have a decreasing exponential function on this one, number 16 here, and we're just under halfway done with time, and we've only got 6 questions left to go. They're looking for probably the b value. Yep, I see it here, b. So the best way to do this one is to first look at the data points and see if there's anything nice, but I'm scanning the text here as well to see if they gave me any clues. So b is a positive constant, fine. Doesn't really mean anything. And I want the closest one. So yeah, they're basically telling you to pick 2 data points in the graph. By saying get the closest, they want just approximate it based on the data points. So I'm going to look for something that goes through 2 xy coordinate points. So we got, all right, that's approximately 460. And there we go, 10, 20. They have to give you 2. 460 and 10, 20. And our y-intercept is just about 127, something like that, and just a little shy of 130. So that's the a value. We'll call it 125 for simplicity's sake. B to the 4th equals 60. So showing my work here, make sure that's showing. 125b to the 4th equals 60. 125b to the 10th equals 20. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up Desmos for this one. Zoom out. Can I? There we go. Make it look nicer. Go home. Okay, y equals 125, and we got to use x and y on this. X, and I'm sure I'm missing something. I'm sure there's a faster way. But you know what? We have the tool. We might as well use it. We got 20 equals 125 x to the power of 10. All right, cool. Ooh, look at that. That's not quite useful, unfortunately. Can we change this? Let's go ahead and set those equal to each other. Let's do minus 60 equals 125. I guess they programmed it so you can't copy paste. That's smart of them. Equals that. Unfortunately, it doesn't just tell you. Okay, so we've got, oh, wait, I'm way overthinking this. I'm way overthinking this. Look at these answer choices. Look at the answer, just think. You got, okay, I should have thought of that first. I should have done this first. So one of the tactics that you should always be mindful of is the just definitions. Just think of the definitions. So 1.83, 18.36, 126.35. They're basically telling you it's 83 point something, but because of the repetition there. But anyhow, all these things that have anything bigger than 1, those are going to be creating an exponential function that increases. So they would look like this. We've got one that's decreasing. The only thing that would make that happen is a decimal. So that's got to be a. I don't know why. Way overdid it. Anyway, just stick to the tactics. Name the definitions, think of the behavior, look at the answer choices first. These are common tactics that I teach my kids. All right, we want cosine of x. Cosine is simply adjacent over hypotenuse. Again, a definition. You are rewarded for thinking about definitions and knowing them. Cosine of x They're not asking for the value of x, they want the cosine of x, so adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, positive solution. So again, solution's a definition. Think about what that means. That means that when we factor, a solution is the thing that makes each binomial pair 0. So x plus 2 gives us -2. X minus 5 gives us 5, which is an option. X plus 9 gives us -9, not an option. Okay, sorry, I'm going to speed up a little bit here because I know the ending questions are going to get harder and I don't want this video to be an hour long. Okay, we've got two congruent angles there. WZ, XY, WZ, XY, YQ equals 63. I just realized I'm streaming on Twitch. Am I still streaming as shoot, am I still streaming as a video game? Chat highlight, chat settings. No. Either way, if anybody watches this expecting to get a video game and they get some SAT prep out of it, no big deal. I'll just make sure the title is corrected when I post. Anyhow, YQ is 63. YQ. So give us a length. Oh, the angles don't matter really here. That's probably just giving us the idea that these things are going to be congruent triangles. They want to know the length of YZ. YZ is probably going to be congruent to WX. So that's 60. Just a quick verification. We have angle, side, angle. So the angles bordering on Q are vertical angles. Those are congruent. Okay. I guess we could prove angle, angle, angle congruency. So yeah, WX and YZ have to be congruent. So YZ is 60. I'm gonna go ahead and stick with that. All right, another fill in the blank. Got a quadratic this time. Kind of oddly written. T is a constant. Passes through 24, 0. They give us a coordinate point, and they want g of 0. Remember, when x is 0, that's a y-intercept. So they're basically asking us to find the y-intercept here. We're going to go ahead and plug in 24, 0 and solve for that t value because we need it to get the y-intercept. Make sure my work is showing this time. So we're going to get 0 equals x plus 14 t. Oh, no, not x, sorry. Because x is 24. 24 plus 4, t minus 24. Okay, distribute that through, you get 0 equals 24t. Make it look like a t. 24t minus 24 squared, which is some number I don't know off the top of my head, I will fully admit, plus 14t minus 14 times 24, which again, I don't know. They'll be minus 14 times 24. We want the y-intercept of this. So again, all I care about really is the constant terms, but some of these are x's, so we got to solve for that t value. So good old Desmos, come on back. Clear this out. Okay. 24 times 24 is 576 plus and that's negative because it's negative 24 squared. Yeah, and the negative is going to stick around. Plus 14 minus, in parentheses, 14 times 24. And then we're going to divide this whole thing. The sign is going to flip because you're going to add it over. So I'll go ahead and write that step out for my people. 24t minus all these numbers collapse to 898. Add that over. 898 equals 24t. Divide by 24. 898 divided by 24 is some decimal, 37. That doesn't seem right. Usually you're not going to get decimal stuff here. Let's make sure. we've got all our stuff here. 24t minus 24 squared plus 14t. Oh, that's supposed to have a t on it, so that is not right. Get rid of that. Okay, back up. Goes to show you that even I will make mistakes, but I'm going to catch them. I'm checking my work as I go along. I'm not really worrying about the time. Keep in mind, we've got plenty of time. 24 plus 14, so 38t minus 912. And because we didn't get a nice number there, that was my clue. We are almost certainly going to get a nice round number on this stuff. And we got 24 this time. So I know that that is the correct value for t. So t equals 24. Again, we were adding the 912 over and dividing by 38. So 912 equals 38t. Divide the 38 and you get t equals 24. So that's the value of t. That's not what we want though. So what do we get? 24. Okay. So now we're going to plug that back in. X plus 14. I'm going to switch this to standard mode. I guess 20, we'll leave it 24 minus x. And we're going to distribute that out, but all we care about is the 14 times 24. And I'm sure, again, there's maybe a faster way to do this. But this is my first take at it, so I'm doing what I can. We get 336, and that's going to be my answer. Oop, type it in correctly. Sorry. All right. Another plug it in kind of question. Okay, we got a population, 1.27 times. So it's 4 years and a growth factor. So that's basically giving us an exponential growth formula. A equals P, we don't know the original population. 1 plus 0.27. It's 1.27. And it was 4 years later. 4. P%, what is the value of P? If the number of zebras in the population is P%, the number in 2014 is P% of the number. Okay, the wording here is really what they're testing us on. So we got to be careful with it. Okay, so the 2018 population, I'm going to use E for 2018 because 8 begins with an E, is 1.27 times 2014. I'll use F for 14. P%, so population in 2014 is P%. So the 2014 is P% means P over 100 of E. What is the value of P? Okay. So we're going to just plug that right in for our E value. So show that up again. So F equals P over 100 times 1.27 F. Because this is all multiplication, we can divide the F's off. And that's 1 equals P over 100 times 1.27. Multiply by 100, divide by 1.27, you get 100 divided by 1.27 equals P. And that is a Desmos activity. 100 divided by 1.27. And 78.74 to the nearest whole number, so 79. Just double check it. Desmos does save your work. Hitting escape gets rid of the functions. Because you'll notice that when this pops up, you get all these functions here, but if you hit escape, it just goes away. 78.74, yes, that does round to 79. I think that's what they want here. They don't want it in the decimal form because it was p%. If it was just like fraction p or something like that, then maybe the fraction or the decimal would be appropriate, but no. All right, again, using the tactic again, looking at the answer choices gives us some hints. These are all circles. Let's see what's going on in our, I'm not going to just start with the graph because sometimes they ask us to shift this stuff. So let's see if there's any of that shenanigans going on. So they show us circle A, circle B, yep, they are going to shift this. As a result, shifting it down 6. So increasing the radius 2 times the radius of A. So that's the easy thing to figure out. So 1, 2, 3 is the radius. So 2 times 3 is 6. 5-minute warning. And 36 needs to be our term on the outside. So it's either A, turn this on, it's either A or C. Now we need to shift down 6 units, and that's the only difference between A and C. C shifts it up. Remember, whenever you have a modification on your binomial, it does the opposite behavior. So if it's shifting on the inside, you do opposite. Shifting on the outside, you do the same. So to shift it down 6 units, we need to add a 6. So that's module 1 in the bag. That wasn't so bad. We got 5 minutes to spare even with me just chatting through all that. I encourage you to pause, go back, look at anything again. Starting module 2, here we go. Okay, I'm gonna go a little faster this time because I know at the end of module 2, it's gonna give me some really tough stuff. So let's see what we got here. We got a word problem. Okay, so it's a linear function. We've got a y-intercept 4,500. And the rate is negative, so it's gonna be minus 70 for each day. And they wanna know when this is gonna reach 1,700. So obviously then, subtract the 4,500, divide by 70, and that gives us our number of days. So 4,500, yeah, I'll do it the proper way. 1,700 minus 4,500 is 2,800. And then we're going to take that negative 2,800, divide by negative 70. That gives us 40. I know you can barely see it there. There you go, 40. Boom. Okay, triangle RST, R is 63, could be the measure of S. So always draw a triangle on these. They didn't tell us it was a 90 anywhere. RST. So never make any assumptions on this. 63 could be the measure of S. So we just want a range here. We know that these add to 180. So let's call these X and Y. We're solving for angle S. So I guess you could just use T and S. Why not? So 63 plus T plus S equals 180. T plus S equals 180 minus 63 is 117, I believe. So it needs to be less than 117. So the only one that's an option there is A. All right, we have a linear inequality. Don't let the inequality freak you out on this. We've got answers that are tables. So the first thing that comes to mind is make sure that it's linear. And you might just plug these in. So we have a y-intercept of 8, a slope of 4. So it goes up by 2, should go up by 8. So A is automatically out. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and plug this into Desmos. Again, Desmos is a great tool here. We have y is greater than 4x plus 8. And I'm just going to double check my coordinate points here. We got 219. And I think you can just pop coordinate points on here, 219. Yep, it's in there. And I think, can we just do a whole set of them? 430. Yep. Indeed you can. Yeah, you can just pop them in there, 641. Make sure you wrap them in parentheses. And hey, look at that. A ends up being our correct answer. According to values and given inequality. And that's honestly, that's how I would do this one. Don't have to really drive yourself batty. solving, like other ways to do that would be to solve the linear function for each answer choice, plug each answer choice in and verify, like just let Desmos do the work for you. Okay. We got lucky. It was the first one. We could be chugging away at it, and it literally took 30 seconds though. So let Desmos do the work for you. Don't be intimidated by using it. So what value of x does f of x equal 5? So you just set it equal to 5 and do the algebra. Or can Desmos do this? I think it might be able to. So clear that out. We get f of x equals 9 over 7 x. I think you literally just type it in as you see it, and then just say f of x equals 5. And it gives you an intersection there at 3, 5. So 3. It's a linear function, so it should only have one thing. Yeah, it is that simple. Otherwise, you would do it algebraically. 5 equals 9 over 7x plus 8 over 7. Multiply everything by 7, you get 35 equals 9x plus 8. Subtract the 8, divide by 9. We get 27 equals 9x. Divide by 9, we get 3 equals x. So pick your method. I'm finding that I'm really liking that Desmos is available. Again, looking at our answer choices, we've got a range for S. During a portion of a flight, a small airplane's cruising speed varied between 150 and 170. Okay. Represents the situation. S is cruising speed, miles per hour. Okay, we got miles per hour, no change in units. Is it really that simple? Hold on. It is only question 5, so it should be quite simple. Small planes, 150 to 170. Which is S is the cruising speed. Yeah, it really is that simple. Okay, that's kind of a weird, trivial question. All right, we've got a parabola. Graph models the number of active projects. Cares. Predict the number of active projects. We got numbers in 2012. So at the end. So these are months after the end, 2012, and at the end of 2012. That should be our y-intercept. So 5. They're really just testing on the wording there. Again, some of these are pretty trivial. They're just being tested on definitions. Looking at the answer choices again, we got linear functions. They just want a comparison. They did not give us any y-intercepts or slope, but they did give us 2 coordinate points, so we can use that to find the y-intercepts and slope. We do have some repeated slopes, so we are going to have to find both. So change in y over change in x is our definition, so delta y over delta x. Change in y is 7, 22 minus 15. 26 minus 28 is negative 2. So it's either C or D. They didn't give us any parallel or perpendicular shenanigans. We're going to do 7 over negative 2x plus b. And we're going to plug one of those points in. And again, I think we're just going to let Desmos do the hard lift for us here. So 22 equals negative 7 over 2. Plug in the x. What did I say? 22, so 26 plus x, and it's going to tell us what? Does it solve it for us? There it is. 113. So, yeah. Know how to use your tools. I'm just going to double check, make sure I didn't mess anything up. Change in y, 7. Change in x, negative 2. Yes. Okay. We have a linear function as our answers again, in standard form this time. Okay. They tell us it's linear. Fine. Just confirming that. C, commutate, and E, linear relationship C and P. Okay. So again, slope and y-intercept, but this time using standard form. So in standard form, it would be wise to memorize ax plus by equals c, and negative a over b is the slope, m. So finding the slope for our points here, we've got The change in y, 284 to 174, is a change of 110. 110 for the y. And change in x was 2, so that's 55. And then our negative a over b has to be 55. And it looks like each of these is going to have that, except for these two, because p should be our y value. And so negative a over b, yeah, we need, oh wait, no. We need the way around. We need the 55 to be attached to the c value, because if this is 55, c minus p, this corresponds to ax plus by. Here, a would be 55, so negative 55 over negative 1, because it's minus 1p. That gives us our positive 55 that we were looking for, so it's either a or b. So now the y-intercept, is it positive or negative? So we could use our y equals mx plus b format. Y equals 55x plus b. Plug in one of these coordinate points. And you got to be careful on this, because ax plus by, again, is our format, equals c. And the y-intercept is c over b. So if it's a, that would be negative 9 over negative 1. So that would give us a y-intercept at 9 for answer A. And if we picked B, it would be at negative 9 for answer B. So again, I'm going to chug this through Desmos. I'm just using a coordinate point up here. So 3, 174. 174 equals 55 times 3 plus x. And I'm using x there for my y-intercept because Desmos doesn't know what to do with b. It would turn it into a slider. It would turn it into, like if I typed b here, it wouldn't know what to do with that. Okay, so like just use x for any variable that you're trying to solve for. Okay. We have a quadratic. They want a solution, basically a 0 of the function. So we could plug those in. Again, we could just use Desmos. Man, I'm using Desmos a lot here. Again, we got to use x because Desmos won't know what to do with w. It's 12x minus 40. And we want this to be 0, so 2.78 and negative 14.178. So the negative is out, so 2.178 is our guy. So which one is that going to be is ultimately the question. I don't want to calculate each of these things, so I'm just going to use the quadratic. That's basically what they're forcing us to do. So negative b plus and minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right. Just because of the way that the answers are set up, you pretty much have to do it this way. So negative 12 plus and minus square root. 12 squared is 144. Memorize your squares. That's worth knowing. Minus 4 times a times c. That's going to end up being plus 160 all over 2a, which is 2 in this case. So negative 12 plus and minus square root of, what is that going to be? 304 all over 2. That's going to be negative 6. So right away I'm liking D. Plus and minus the square root of 304. Oh, let's see. 304 divided by 2 is 152. I don't know any nice squares there. So we're going to do a quick factor tree. 304 to 152. 152 divided by 2 is that 76 to 38 to, what's that? 38 is 19, and that's as far as we can go. So 2, 4, 6, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So 16 times 19 is the guy there. Okay, so that's the same thing as if you take the square root of that, you get 4, or sorry, let me back up. Negative 12 plus and minus 4 root 19 over 2. Reduce that. You guys can't see what I'm doing. That's supposed to be a 19. Make it look nice. 19. So reducing by the 2, you get negative 6 plus and minus 2 root 19. So D is our answer. Next. Whew, that one was a doozy. All right. Man, we're running out of time. Okay. Y coordinate of the y-intercept. So y-intercept means x is 0. Just make that x coordinate 0. Don't overthink this. So you could type this into Desmos, but I'm just going to make y or x 0. So we get 0 equals negative 5y over 9 plus 21. Subtract the 21 times 9. So negative 21 times 9 divided by negative 5 equals y. Nothing reduces there, so this I am going to just plug into Desmos. I'm hitting the wrong key on my computer. So negative 21 times 9, negative 189. The negatives are going to drop off, so dividing by 5, you get 37.8. On these, I'm less afraid of getting a weird number because these were fractions. So I think that's a fine thing. Linear systems represent the lines. You could graph these, but I'm just going to look at the critical points. We have a y-intercept that's between 3 and 4 and a y-intercept that's between 6 and 7, and the slopes are both negative. So in order to remember on standard form, right here, the slope is negative a over b. So if I want negative slopes, if I want a negative slope, one of these has to be negative. So both of those being negative, there's a negative out there. So if I flip the signs on all that, you get 10 and 4 and 64. So A could be it. That is not. We need a positive y-intercept as well. Let's see. Negative a over b, that gives me a positive slope. All right, these two give negative slopes for both expressions and positive y-intercepts for both expressions. And now I'm going to just kind of guesstimate. So if we made y 0, we should get 8 for x. So if y is 0, D gives us that. So if y is 0 here, you get 32 divided by 8 is 4. So that's not going to do it. Double check y is 0. Yeah, that crosses that out. Yeah, that check gets rid of those two. Between these two, the slope being negative. C would give us a positive slope for the first expression. All right. So notice I didn't do very much math there. I just thought about the concept. I just thought about the definition of ax plus by equals c, evaluating positive and negative. And then I did do a little bit of plug and check with 8, 0. Okay, what is the value of 6x minus 2? Whenever you see this, there's a way to manipulate this to get 6x minus 2 or to solve for x minus 2 or something like that. Notice that if we add these functions straight down, these 4y plus 7s are just going to cancel out. So adding that together, you get 2x plus 2. The y parts cancel out equals 559. I want 6 of this, so I'm just going to multiply that by 3. Scale it up. I'm not even going to solve for x. So I'm going to get 6x plus 2 equals 3 times 559. Whatever that is. 1,600 and something, I guess. Now let's see. So delete this all. 559 times, or let me just check my addition. 117 plus 442, 559. 559 times 3 is 1677. Sorry, I'm going to start going a little faster because we're running out of time. Minimum value is the y-coordinate of the vertex, so just jam this bad boy into Desmos. X squared minus 48x plus 2304. And this is going to be way up there. It's going to be like, zoom in for a minute, but they do give that there, 1728. Don't be afraid of that. And you can always just hit the home button and it brings you right back to the origin. How many solutions? So you can divide the x off and you get a statement that's not true. But because x is there, it's going to have one solution when x is 0. And there's no other number that will make this true. If you don't believe me, again, you can use our handy dandy Desmos. 49x equals negative 98x. And indeed, we get one solid line with x being 0. All right. Function g is defined. What is the sum of all possible values of w? G of 7 minus w is 0. Okay, this is kind of complicated. They're giving us some really tough ones here. G is defined by x value of 7 minus 0. So I think the best way to do this one is to just plug in your 7 minus 0. Or is it 7 minus w into the x coordinates? So 7 minus w into the x. 7 minus w minus 2. 7 minus w plus 6 squared. And remember, we're looking for solutions. All possible values of w, that means we're looking for solutions. So solution there is 7. This ends up being 7 minus 2 is 5. 5 minus w. So solution there is 5. 7 plus 6 is 13 minus w. So the solution there is 13. We don't care that it's squared. So the sum of these solutions is 7 plus 13 is 20, plus 5 is 25. Yeah. So 25 will be our answer. It's a bit of a weird one. Not too bad if you know what you're doing. Okay, 5 rows of maple trees. Each row of birch trees 8 trees, 20 feet or taller, 6 trees shorter than 20. A bunch of data. What is the probability? Okay, it's a probability question. A maple tree, given that it's 20 feet or taller. So I don't care about the birches at all. So we're selecting from just the maples that are 20 feet or taller. Or no, just the 20-foot tall trees. So how many 20-foot tall trees are there? There are 8 maples that are 20 feet or taller, and 9. So there are 17 trees total that fit our category. So I'm tempted for D because 17 is prime. And the maple trees is 9 that are 7 out of those. So yeah, I kind of like D. Okay. We got our geometry question again. Make sure you guys can read that. Rectangle, circle, vertex, rectangle. Okay. Rectangle inside of a circle, such that, ooh, I cannot draw today. Let's start that over. So, a rectangle inside of a circle. A circle. Get a rectangle, such that it touches the corners. All right, that's a little better. Okay. The diagonal of the rectangle is twice the length of the shortest side. So the diagonal, if that is x, that's 2x. And the area of the rectangle is 1089 root 3. Well, that's length times width. The diagonal is twice the length of the shortest side. Let's just say that's the shortest side, whatever. We'll call this y. So that's equal to x times y. With the root 3 on there, I'm already thinking this must be a 30, 60, 90. So if that's x, 2x, this must be x root 3. So 1089 root 3 is equal to x squared root 3. Cross that off, you get 1089 is x squared. They want the length of diameter, so yeah, we're on the right track here. So square root in Desmos is just SQRT. 1089 is 33. Nice round number, so we know we did it right. That's the length of x. And the diameter of the circle. Yeah, diameter is the length of that diagonal, so 66. Yeah. Okay, positive no, I'm really running out of time. Okay. Positive number A is 2241% of the sum. Ooh. Okay, I'm just going to start doing these. I'm going to stop reading out loud. So A C. Make sure you can see what I'm doing at the very least here. Okay. B is 83%, so 0.83. C. So A equals 292.41, 1.83. C. What percent of B is A? So X percent times B equals A is what we're solving for. Okay, so I can plug this in, 22. 22.41, 1.83C equals 0.83C x over 100. Divide that over, x equals, multiply the 100 as well, 2241, 1.83C divided by 0.83C, the C's cross off. Calculator time. Okay, 2241 times 1.3, all divided by 0.83. Gives us the nice round number of 4941. And I already did consider for the percentage, so yes, I believe that is our answer. Whoa, okay, crazy looking thing. We'll look at the next two just to make sure these aren't also crazy. Okay, those look like a unit conversion, or okay, tangent, circle thing. Distance, okay, that's not bad. Y-intercept, that's not bad. Okay, let's work on this one real quick. Okay, 8 minutes. Crunch time. Has no solution. Okay, this is actually not so bad. That tells us that these are parallel. Let's get the slope. So get this into standard form. Add the 7/8 over, you get 14 over 8y minus 5/8x equals 4/7. We don't care about that O. All we care about are the left-hand side things here. Let's get the y over. So negative py plus 5/4 x equals whatever. We don't care. We want the slope. If these have no solution, the slopes are the same. The slope in the first one is negative a over b, a being negative 5/8, so 5/8 over 14/8 is the same thing as times 8 over 14. So those cancel out and you get 5 over 14 is the slope. Okay, so negative a over b, so negative 5 over 4 over negative p equals 5 over 14. Okay, multiply the p, divide that over, so negative 5 over 4 to see it too. There we go. Times 14 over 5 is equal to negative p, but the negatives will drop off. So positives, get rid of those. 5s cancel off. 14 over 4 is 7 halves. Okay, I'm just going to trust it. I'm not going to double check my work at this point. All the x's are 0. Okay, and usually these are going to have a shift at this stage. What is the y-intercept of y equals f of x? So we have x and g of x, but our answers have an f of x in them, or our question does. G of x is f of x divided by x plus 3. F is a linear function. What's the y-intercept of f of x? Okay. So that would happen when x is 0. Okay. What's the y-intercept of f of x? Okay. When x is 0. I'm not quite sure what to do here. Let's think, especially under a time crunch like this. So when x is 0, so let's just start doing stuff. So we got 3 is equal to f of negative 27 divided by negative 27 plus 3 is negative 24. So add that over, or multiply that over. Yeah, 5 minutes, I know. 60 plus 12 is 72, so negative 72 equals f of negative 27. Okay, that's an xy coordinate. Oh, okay, yes, we're going to get some xy coordinate points out of this, and then using that we get the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, good. Okay, so 0 equals f of negative 9. Negative 9 plus 3 is negative 6. Multiply that over 0. So 0 equals f of negative 9. So using those two coordinate points, we can get the slope and the y-intercept. So change in y is 72, and change in x is 27 to 9 is, I'm blanking, 18. 18. 72 over 18. Sorry, I'm blanking as I get closer to the time rush here. Is 4, so our slope is 4. And 4x plus b equals y. Pick a coordinate point. Let's go ahead and use the simpler one. Negative 9, 0. So 4 times negative 9 is negative 36. Plus b equals 0, so b is 36. Boom, okay. Okay, circle of center G and M, and lie on the circle, line segments MH and H. Let's draw this. Not going to worry about how it looks. Center G, M, N are on the circle. Call M here, N there. M, H, N, H are tangent. Okay, so they're basically telling us that there's a point out here that's tangent to those. That means that it just touches. It's 90 degrees right there. Doesn't look like it, but let's call that 90. The radius of the circle is 168. 168, and the quadrilateral there, perimeter is 3856, so that's 168 as well. GMNH, GMHN, yes. So this is H out here. So this we'll call X and X. What is the distance between G and H? So they want this part right here, the hypotenuse of that triangle, basically. So the perimeter 3856, 38. Let's clear that out. 3856 minus the radius twice, because that's two sides of the rectangle. That was 3520 divided by 2, and that gives us 1760 is the length there. Pythagorean theorem with that thing. 168 times squared plus 1760 squared gives us that big old number, but we're going to go ahead and just wrap that in the square root. Got to retype it because this test doesn't let you copy paste wisely. It disallow that. Okay, 1768 appears to be our hypotenuse. So 1768. And then that is indeed an answer. Phew, man, right? Oh no, one more. Shoot. Just gonna click one just to make sure I've got an answer down. Thought that was it. Which of the following could be a value of a plus b? A, b, and c are constants. Y equals f of x. 7, 0, negative 3, 0. So they're giving us the binomials. X minus 7, x plus 3. A is bigger than 1, so a x squared minus 4x minus 10, or 21. Ax squared minus 4x minus 21. Oh shoot, oh shoot. It's an integer bigger than 1. I'm going to switch my answer there to an extreme. Usually on this, the strategy is to pick an extreme. A plus b. I'm going to have to come back to that one. There's no way I'm going to be able to finish that in time. Darn, that's what I get for talking through the beginning ones. I see the path forward on this, though. They want a plus b in ax squared plus bx plus c. So I'll do that one real quick. But let's go ahead and view our score. All right, put this up. Score report. Just loading that up. I thought that was reasonably good. Those last couple questions did get tricky. I wonder if I missed any. I know well, obviously I missed the last one. But let's go ahead. Score details. Load this up for you guys. Show it on the screen. All right. So obviously all the reading and writing omitted. Oh, we got a wrong one. Another wrong one. Okay, and my guess was correct. Always pick the extreme. Always pick, if they're asking for like a possibility or something like that, that's a good way to go is to pick an outlier. So I did end up legit missing 2 of these. And then I didn't finish the final one. So we'll go ahead and finish that one before I sign off for the day. So let's see what I missed. Okay, this one, interesting. Let's go ahead and maximize that for you guys. We're going to hide that. So I thought this was going to be congruent YZWX. I was pretty confident with that. What's the issue? Oh, oh, damn. I didn't check for proportionality, did I? So there's a chance here that this is just simply proportion. So looking at that, what do they give us here? So draw it to the best of my ability. These 2 are congruent because vertical angles. These 2 are congruent because that's what's given. But that doesn't show congruency with the triangles. That shows proportionality. So these 2 triangles could be proportional. Duh. All right, so we've got Q in the middle, X, W, Y, Z. Okay, so WQ is 70. If I had labeled this, I would have noticed it. So that just goes to show that you got to label stuff. So as soon as you label that, you see they're not the same size, but they do correspond. So that should tell us right away that we're going to use proportionality. 120 there, 60 there. This is the term we're solving for. Let's call it x. So we can say 70 over 63 is equal to 60 over x. Do some cross multiplying, and we should get our answer. So let's go ahead and do that. 70x, divide the 70 back. So x equals 60 times 63 divided by 70. Get a calculator pulled up here. Pull up legit Desmos. 60 times 63 divided by 70, 54. So 54 should be our correct answer. And indeed it is. Man, all right. Proportionality. Don't assume congruency. Always label your figures. This one, okay. So I went through this one quickly as well. Let's go ahead and hide the correct answer. Okay, so I was pretty sure on this one as well. They want to know the probability of selecting a maple tree given that the tree is 20 or taller. So we have birch and maple. Let's build our two-axis table. 20 plus and less. Build a little table here. So 6 rows of birch, 5 rows of maple. We don't care. Each row, that does matter. Each row of birch has 8 trees. So there are 6 rows of birch. 6 times 8 is 48. There are 48 trees that are taller. 6 trees that are less, so 6 times 6 is 36. Man, didn't compute that. I thought the number of rows was a distractor. Each row has 9 trees, so 5 times 9 is 45 for the maples, and 7 times 5 is 35. So given that the tree is 20 feet or taller, so that's going to give us 93 trees total, and maple tree that is taller is 45. 45 out of 93. Are those both, yeah, they're both divisible by 3. We get 15 and 31. Yeah, that's C. Yikes. All right. Read. How many distractors did we actually come across? Not many, I suppose. So read the whole question. Don't rush like I was doing. All right, then finally we're going to get back to this one. And I was pretty confident that I had the path forward on this one. I did guess correctly. But it was a guess. So let's go ahead and do it. I was down the path where they gave us these coordinate points, 7, 0, and negative 3, 0. When y is 0 in a quadratic, we should recognize that that's telling us the binomial factor. So x minus 7 and x plus 3 are the binomial factors, but they didn't tell us the value of a. We don't know what kind of vertical stretch this is going to have, so we got to account for that. And that's what I did by putting the a out front. So distributing that through, just double check my distribution because I did it really quick. Negative 7 plus 3, yeah. So a times x squared minus 4x plus minus 21. Distributing the a through, each of these should get an a. Okay, let's read the question again. We've got a, b, c. The graph, and next passes through those points. A is an integer greater than 1. So they're telling us that a is an integer, which is useful, and it's greater than 1. So at the very least, it's 2. What's the possibility of a plus b? Okay, so if I just plug in 2 at this point, 2 x squared minus negative 4 times 2 is 8, x minus 42. This is why I switched it, because I saw that if a was going to be a factor on there, then that b value is going to be a big negative. So if a is a positive value and I'm adding to that a bigger negative, then it's going to have to be a negative number, and I picked the extreme because it was big enough that I figured it would work. So plugging in the smallest integer possible, and it's only going to get bigger from here, we end up getting negative 6. 2 is the a value, so 2 plus b being negative 8, 2 minus 8 is negative 6. And that is indeed a possible value. If I wanted to get negative 3, I'd have to plug in 1, right? Plug in 1 for a, you get 1 minus 4 is -3, but a can't be 1. A has to be greater than 1. So I hate that this becomes a plug and check for me, but I think that's probably the best way to do this question. Anyhow, that is test 6 math in the bag. I found that to be probably the hardest out of the 6 practice tests that the College Board has produced. That is probably the hardest one that I have seen yet. So I did end up missing 2. Would have gotten that one if I had more time. Let's see what the score came out to be. I didn't even look. Go back. So obviously 990 because I didn't do the language part, but a 790. Okay. So -2 ended up yielding a 790. They do appear to be accounting for the difficulty in the math. You can see my last attempt on test 5 was a 780 on the math. So reading too quick, that's a common trap. Some takeaways from today's video. Hopefully, if you have any observations, things that you've learned, takeaways, go ahead and pop them into the comments, leave them in the chat, and hopefully you guys will watch next time and learn some new things about the SAT with me. Thanks.